Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/audio.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. I'm the president of Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting, and you can find my work at emailrevealer.com. The show is brought to you by getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. Life Change Tea. As a matter of fact, I just got an email from one of my listeners who broke down. I've been babbling about this tea for so long. She broke down and bought the tea, and she was saying about how the tea's giving her more energy. And also, too, describing how it's a Life Change tea. And she says she's taken one of those little eyedroppers of B12, and she adds that into the tea as well, too. So I'm going to give that a try myself. But Life Change tea, I've been losing weight. I got better digestion. I had a lot of problems with my stomach. But what do you call it? Digestion and constipation, losing weight, a lot of energy in the morning without a caffeine in it. Life Change tea. I cannot recommend this tea for you any further. Life Change tea, getthetea.com. We're joined today, a very nice gentleman here, Patrick McStay. And you might recall the story of the McStay family way, way, way back in 2010. If you look at go to their Facebook page, you can find it. It's heartbreaking. Search for McStays. And you see a picture of this beautiful little redhead kid, man. Gorgeous little grandbaby here. The McStay family, they turned up missing back in 2010. They made all the news because, they were down at the Mexican border. Where'd they go? Did they take off willingly? Were they on the run from drug dealers or some kind of crazy story? Went on for years, the mystery of the McStays. I remember we wanted to do a show about this years ago, like 4 years ago, before the bodies were found. And what I'm shocked to find out today, talking to Patrick McStay right before the show, is that this creep who they caught, this business partner of Mr. McStay, still hasn't been convicted. He's been fighting these charges and pulling all kind of courtroom shenanigans to delay the trial. So we got Patrick McStay on here, and what he doesn't want to talk about it, but we're trying to raise money for him to get to the trial and be there at the trial in person. He's one of these old-fashioned guys, doesn't want to ask for money, so he's written a book, and you can find the book at McStay, www.mcstay.shop. And it's Patrick McStay. The book is called McStays Taken Too Soon. It's written by Patrick McStay, the father. And we got him right here on the show for us. Mr. McStay, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you so much. Can you tell us about yourself? Who is Patrick McStay?
Well, I'm Joey's father. Joey was my son. And then there's Summer, his wife, and my grandsons, Gianni and Joey Jr. And they were the four that were murdered in February of 2010, but we didn't find their remains in the Mojave Desert until November the 11th of 2013. Their remains were found by a motorcycle rider in the desert. He found a skull and called 911.
Yeah, they were found out there in Victorville, right?
Yeah, Victorville. It's 100 miles north of their house. What had happened was the San Diego Sheriff's Department got the case. And I was working with them for about a year until 2011, until around April, and kept giving them information. And I had Gina Watson was working with me. She was a friend of my son. She knew my son personally through business. Joey has a fountain business, or water features business, they call them. And what that is if you, let's say, for example, you walk into a building and you see a big wall with their logo on it, and you see the wall of water running down. That's a water feature, and that's what he did. But he did it all the way from the small desktop type $100 fountain. As a matter of fact, he had just shipped one in January of 2010 to Saudi Arabia that was like $83,000.
Yeah, those things are big money, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a multi-million-dollar business, you know. But when San Diego got into it, they screwed it all up. I mean, that's the only way to put it. I called them the Keystone Cops. There was this video of a family of four, a husband and wife and two children walking across the border. It has, you see them from the, like, above, you're up higher, like, and it's shooting down at them. It's at night. There's spotlights showing toward them, which is right, you're looking into it. So all you really basically see is a shadow. The sheriffs had never met them or anything, and they swear up and down, that's my son and my daughter-in-law and the two boys walking across at 7 o'clock at night on the 8th of February, walking into Mexico. We swore up and down, family members, friends, that's not them. San Diego Sheriff's Department, oh yeah, that's them. They swore by it. To give you an example, after 3 interviews and 3 one-hour specials on CNN and with me and everything else, and the remains being found in the Mojave Desert, 150 miles north of the border, okay, San Diego and the sheriff, Sheriff McMahon in San Bernardino County, where the remains were found and the autopsy was done and determined they were, bludgeons. The sheriff's spokesperson, Jan Caldwell, with San Diego Sheriff's Department, that very day this is almost 4 years later, is interviewed by Randy Kay on CNN, and she says they stand by their determination that was the family walking into Mexico.
Well, in defense of their position, it was based on because the car was found nearby the Mexican border, right?
Exactly. Well, there were several things. First off, Gina and I, through our information, I had access to my son's email account.
Okay.
So we had over 12,000 emails in Joey's account then. And we had over 4,000 in Summer's emails. So we were going through them one by one. And one of the things that I'd argued with the San Diego Sheriff's Department was, I said, how do you do your checking of the emails? And he said, well, we enter a keyword. If that keyword is in the email, then that email comes up and we know.
Right.
I said, that won't work. I said, you got to go through them one by one. I said, the only way you're going to find out everything. And he says, and Troy Dugal, the lead detective, tells me, he says, well, I don't have the time. I've got other cases and it's just me. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I just couldn't believe it because we found so much information in there. And some of the stuff that San Bernardino found 4 years later was in those emails back in 2010, 2011. Because we already knew the information.
Well, let's not get too caught up, too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I can't go into that too much anyway. So that's just enough of it right there. Yeah.
Why don't you tell us before we get into the whole strip at the murder, all the details of the missing and everything? Tell us about your son. Let us get to know your son. Who was your son, Joey, and who was Summer and Gianna and Joey? Tell us about this family.
Well, Gianni, it's kind of funny because just. January 23rd, and I happen to remember that date. We did a Skype interview or Skype conversation with Joey and me and Summer and the boys. And it was kind of interesting because Gianni had his daddy's laptop, and they had just moved into the house, a month or two earlier. So Gianni is taken, and little Joey Jr. is right with him, and they're walking through the house with the laptop, showing me the house and telling me about the little house. So it was just really cute, and just I can remember that like yesterday. And that's when my son told me that Gianni wanted to build a playhouse in the backyard, and Joey said, well, yeah, he'd do that with him, no problem. And Gianni told me, no, he wanted to wait for Grandpa. He wanted Grandpa to do it with him.
Why'd they give Gianni a little Italian name? How'd that come from?
Summer. Believe it or not, my daughter-in-law was just obsessed with Italian for some reason. My son had been in Italy with a friend of his, Nick. They had gone a couple of years ago. Prior to that, they had gone to Italy, and Nick has family over there, and they had gone all through Italy for a month. And so Joey, it's part of our heritage way back is there's some Italian and Irish and, German, Hungarian, the whole bit. So, but Summer was kind of with us, so he got his name Gianni.
Okay. And how did Joey and Summer meet? How did those two come together?
Joey and Summer met around 2004, I think it was. I can't remember. But anyways, she had a house up in Big Bear with the guy she was living with, her boyfriend at the time, Nick. Not Nick, Vic. And so anyways, they were having problems. And anyways, a friend of Joey's, MacGyver, knew Summer, and one time he had a gathering at his townhouse, so he invited Summer down. She came down, and he invited Joey, and Joey was in the dumps from 3 or 4 years prior from his divorce, and because he really loved his wife, Well, anyways, they met, locked eyes, and that was it. It was on. The two of them were in love. I mean, it was just, that's how they met.
So now people who only know this story from the more tabloid kind of portrayals, they portrayed Summer as having different names and being a con woman and maybe involved in shady dealings. How do you want to clear the air on that?
Well, to give you a perfect example of all this stuff, she was, like I said, she was living in a house in Big Bear, in the house she had up there with Vic. And Vic was never around. He took off and whatever. So anyways, Joey, like I said, Joey and her a romance started with him. So Joey started traveling up to Big Bear. He would go up to Big Bear and fix the house for her. So then Joey got to me and said, Dad, she wants to sell the house, get Vic to sign it over to her, and then she wants to sell it, but it needs a lot of work done on it. And then there's a second, a third mortgage on it and everything else, and it's about to go it's just ready to go into foreclosure. And so he said, I can do the work and I can do the repairs, but, I don't have a lot of money. I said, well, I'll send you my Home Depot card, my host card. You just go ahead and charge whatever you need on that. And that was fine. He started doing the work. So then they needed $35,000 to get it out of foreclosure. So I gave Joey a power of attorney, had him go down to San Bernardino County. They registered a lien against the house, a deed of trust, and I sent them the $35,000 to buy it out of bankruptcy. Then Summer put it up for sale, ended up renting it for 6 months, and renters bought the house. And so that's part of that. And then Summer, through all that time, was working at a lodge up there. And she was also, into surfing, all that stuff. So they set up websites for training surfing because Vic was a surfer and he was training people and all this stuff. So she used different names. She, like I said, was in Italian. So she goes way back in around, 96, 97, somewhere in the late 90s. She changed her birth name, which was Aranda. She changed it to Martel. And it was all legal and everything. Now, to go a little farther, jump back to 2005 when I met her. I was out there for about 6 weeks with Joey, and Summer came down, and that's when she was moving down there to live with Joey. And they paid me back all the money that I had I got paid back right away when the house was sold. So, anyways, I was there and I met Summer and we were all together and everything. Sometime to leave, just before I left, Summer took me aside and she told me that her identity had been stolen and that somebody was using her name in all different which ways. And the person that they had tracked down lived in Houston. So could I, when I got back, look into it for her? And I said, absolutely. So I got back to Houston a couple of days later, and I was at my house. I'm watching the 5 o'clock news, and on comes this news report about a theft ring stealing identities that was headquartered in New York, Dallas, and Houston. And I'll be darned if she doesn't come up with the name of the woman that Summer told me is one of the people arrested in this ring. And so that's partially how a lot of her name got switched around in all these different forms. But she did it in a couple different forms herself, with her original name, birth name being Virginia Aranda. So she changed it to Summer Martelli.
And her birthday?
So that's how that goes.
She shaved a few years off her age too, right? I think we all do that. But
yeah. Well, I don't know, because I knew she was older than Joey, and this is one thing that got me. Susan, my ex-wife, and my youngest son, Michael, claimed they never knew that, for a long time that she was older than Joey. Well, I knew she was, and from the get-go, because Joey told me. And the thing about that's funny about that is my father, Joey's grandfather, was younger than my mother, my grandmother, or my mother, his grandmother. And so he was kind of proud of that. So I don't know why anyone else didn't know about it.
Yeah, when I was 25 myself, I had a girlfriend who was 35, and my best friend was 55 when I was 25 years old. I was hanging out with an older crowd. Let me ask you a question though. Now, when she came to you to solve this problem with her identity theft and all those kinds of, what kind of background do you have that people come to you with these kind of things?
It really had none. I mean, I just management all my life. I was in management, started as a clerk in an office and worked my way up to vice president, and I just learned through the years. And naturally, I had to deal with lawsuits and different things because I was in trucking and we'd be sued. And there's a lot of different things I learned through life, and my parents were very, very intelligent people. And my mother worked for real estate, retired from the Board of Realtors. And my dad had a real estate license, but yet he worked for the city and he was very smart. And they had bought property and sold properties, and, I just learned. And so I just learned to track things down. And what I learned most of all was ask people. If you don't know, find somebody that knows.
Yeah, life experience is not something a lot of people have these days. They're more, they want to Google everything. They want to look up everything on Google.
You're right.
Okay, let's take a little commercial break here. We're with Patrick McStay. He's the father of Joey McStay and the grandfather to little Gianni and Joey and the father-in-law to Summer. And we're going to be hearing about this whole story about how he lost his family. There's a little family there to this creep Merritt. And the whole botched investigation and all that. And we'll be right back after these messages with more of Patrick McStay.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Hi, folks. Ronnie here from Life Change Tea. There's a lot of hubbub about the ramifications of GMOs. First of all, what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms. Yee! Man-made organisms entering our body, changing and damaging us from the inside out. What's our defense? First of all, not eating them. Second, cleansing from them when we do eat them. Thank God for Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea cleanses from toxins, heavy metals, and helps flush GMOs out of your body. Our unique blend of herbs help cleanse you from the inside out, helping you feel refreshed and clean of yee. We also carry unique one-of-a-kind supplements. So order online at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Rid yourself of the yee that contaminates your food and water. Go to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Get the tea, your best defense.
Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here talking to Patrick McStay. He's the father of Joey McStay, but he's also the author of McStays Taken Too Soon. And you can find that at Amazon. I'm going to have a link to it, too, in the Opperman Report bookstore. and on my Facebook, and I'll have a link to in the description of this show too, on iHeart and Twitter and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. He's trying to raise funds to get to the trial here. His son and his daughter-in-law and his grandchildren were murdered, and he wants to be there at the trial. You'd think there would be a provision for this in this country, that we can get grandfathers to their sons' grandchildren's murder trial. But so he has to raise this money on his own. So if you can buy the book, it'll help fund his trip over there. You can get the book McStays Taken Too Soon. Let me ask you this now. What happened one day they were missing? How did you hear about this?
I got an email from the guy, Dan Kavanaugh, who handles Joey's. He's a webmaster. He handles my son's website, and directing traffic to his site to buy fountains in order to get estimates and all that.
Sure.
So anyways, I get this email, and it's D. Kavanaugh. Well, at the time, I don't know D. Kavanaugh. I'm like, who is D. Kavanaugh? I don't have any idea. Well, so I delete it because I don't open anything I don't know. So the next thing I know is about an hour later, I get a phone call. And on the display, it lights up D. Kavanaugh. And I'm like, who is this D. Kavanaugh? I don't know who this is. So anyways, I let that go. I don't answer it. So a little while later, I call my son, Michael, and I tell him, Michael, I've been trying to get hold of your brother. This is on Tuesday the 9th, by the way, of February. I said, I've been trying to get hold of your brother over the weekend, and I can't reach him. And I go to his email and to his voicemail, and everything goes right to voicemail. I said, and that's just not like him normally. And I said, I check his, I email him, and you can't, it's full. I said, something's wrong, Michael. I'm worried. Can you go down and check on your brother for me? Because he's about an hour away. He lives in San Clemente. Joey's down in Fallbrook, which is about an hour south of them, between San Diego and San Clemente. So anyways, he says he's too busy. And so I'm talking to him a little more. And Michael, please go down and check on your brother. And he's like, nah, Dad, I'm too busy. I got to. I said, Michael, please, I'm really worried. And so finally, he says, well, he tried to go down the next day. And I said, okay, by the way, Mike, I said, I'm getting this call from this guy out in California. I know it's a San Diego area because I know the area code, 619. And I said, it's D. Kavanaugh. I don't need D. Kavanaugh. I said, he sent me an email. He said, Dad, you know D. Kavanaugh? I said, no, I don't, Mike. He said, you do that. I said, no. He said, Dad, that's Dan the hacker. And I went, oh, hell yeah, I know him. And that's what we called him. We called him Dan the hacker. That was his nickname because he used to hack back in the early 2000s. He was one of the guys that hacked your emails and sent you all the spam.
Right.
So that's when I met Dan, and that's how I knew Dan. But I didn't know his, Dan Kavanaugh. I knew him as hacker. So I said, Mike, call Dan. Find out what Dan wants. Give him a call, will you? And so Mike wrote his phone number, and I started using it myself. Yeah, I have his number. So anyway, Michael got the calls. He calls back. For a while, he said, Dan's worried, too. He can't reach Joey. He's trying everything, and he can't get a hold of him. I said, Mike, something's wrong. You got to get a hold of the sheriff's department or something. He talks to him from the phone. He goes down there, from the dog in the backyard, and bag of food tore over the back from the shed, and there's water there, and a note on there from the ammunition, to give him a call there, some muzzle them, the dogs are there. He decides not to call the sheriff until Monday, which was the 15th, the day after Valentine's, because he said, well, maybe they went away for the weekend.
Wait. Clarify something for me. Then, when your son Michael got there, he saw a note from Animal Control?
Yeah.
What would prompt animal control to be down there?
And the dogs were barking and everything else, and the neighbors were complaining.
Okay.
So animal control came out. Well, we didn't know at the time that the bag of food that was out there and everything was left by animal control.
Okay.
We didn't know that. We thought that somebody else did it, or maybe me and Summer did leave, get his bag open and leave his big bag of food so they could eat. And their bowl had been put underneath the water spigot and we left it just drip.
Right. So
we thought maybe that was it. Well, we come to find out that's not the case. That wasn't it, So that's how that was,
So what happened next? Michael goes, did you think of calling the police to do a well check?
Well, yeah, they had been called on the 10th and gone out and done a welfare check. But that wasn't by Michael. There's two people claimed that they got a hold, that they did. One was Merritt, claimed he called the sheriffs and told them to do a welfare check. And then Kavanaugh claimed he called them on the 10th also and did a welfare check. So you see, these things were starting to add up. These little things are piling up, and I'm like, these things aren't right. There's things missing here. Things are wrong. And so anyways, Michael waits till the 15th. On the 15th, on Monday, he calls the sheriff. They send another officer out. He goes with Michael. They go to the back of the house. Michael, they find an open, unlocked window. They raise the window. Well, actually, Michael had already been in the house and looked on that Saturday, but he didn't say anything. So he waited till Monday. So anyways, when the sheriff, Michael went in, opened the door, and the sheriff came in. The sheriff walked in, deputy walked in, looked around for a few minutes, went outside and called homicide. Because in California, homicide handles missing persons case as well as homicide. So he thinks things don't look right to him. He calls the homicide. The homicide sends out Detective Troy Dugal. Troy Dugal comes out. He walks through the house. He finds fruit rotting on the counter in the kitchen there. Fruit rotting. He finds my daughter-in-law's the glasses there. He finds eggs in a carton rotting there, sitting out and rotting. He finds 2 bowls of uneaten popcorn sitting on the futon by the TV where the boys would have been sitting, and it's suspicious to him.
So then what's the next step?
Well, the next step is Dugal goes back to get warrants.
Wait, let me stop you for a second here. But in all this time, had people been talking to Merritt about where are they?
Yeah. Merritt has claimed that he went down to the house on the 8th by himself. He claimed that he went and he stopped by Joey's mother's house because Merritt lives in Rancho Cucamonga, and Susan, my ex, lives in Corona, which is just south of that, right on the 15 going north and south. And then south of them is right off the 15 is where Joey lives. So he claims that he was down at Joey's house, and he was he claimed he was heading south. This is one of the things that got me. He claimed he was heading south from Cucamonga. He stops at Corona, talks to Susan, and then he's going to go on down to the house. Later, after the preliminary investigation, I see through the records, he wasn't going south. He was going north. He'd already been to the house. So things, again, didn't add up. So anyways.
Man, Merritt was business partners.
And he goes back down there on Saturday with Michael. He meets Michael at the house on Saturday the 13th. That's when Michael goes in the house the first time.
And Merritt was business partners with Joey?
No. See, that's what everybody gets confused.
Okay.
Or whatever. Merritt had his own business making. He actually manufactured the fountains. Okay, he had his own company. He had about 2 or 3 of them, and be blunt, and I can say it because it's fact. He had a number of people suing him and going after him for fountains they never got and they paid for, and things that were wrong. So there were he had 2 or 3 different companies, different names, and So anyways, but he was a good welder, and he really built good stuff. Joey, my son, is big-hearted as they come. He's going to give the guy a chance. So he's a subcontractor. And what he does, Joey designs the fountains and everything else. He gives it to Chase. Chase then builds it, and Joey pays Chase. And then the fountains are shipped.
Gotcha.
That's how that worked.
But at some point, Chase Merritt was able to get a hold of funds, your son's funds from his business account. How was he able to do that if he was just a subcontractor? Joey
had a QuickBooks account, okay? And he kept all his records in QuickBooks. Now, Joey was like you or I or anybody else. Old school, we learned when you type out a name, you type a capital letter, the first letter of the name, first letter of the last name is capitalized. So that's how Joey always did it. Well, come to find later, Merritt had got into Joey. Joey was bad about, he was just open, and so people could go in his office, in his house or wherever, and you got to understand Merritt was pretty close to him. I mean, it was really weird. But anyways, Merritt apparently found or knew Joey's passwords or whatever to his QuickBooks account or whatever. Somehow another account was set up under Merritt's name as a payee, and but it was made with all letters, which Joey would not do. And that's how Merritt got in and issued checks through that account.
Just paid himself some checks as if he was a vendor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paying himself.
Well, clever guy. Now he must have known he was able to do that before he went there and attempted this murder, right? He must have. So were there indications of previous embezzlement? Yeah.
On February, it was either the first thing, I believe it was the first. He wrote a check. So he got into Joey's account. That had to be, I believe, would have had to be remote, because he got into the account. He wrote a check. I forget what it was. I want to say it was like $2,400, $2,700, somewhere in that vicinity. I can't remember offhand. I have to check my notes. Gotcha. But it was in that vicinity. So he writes this check, but apparently he doesn't cash it. He doesn't cash it until, I believe it was a day or two later. And what strikes me odd, I think what happened was, on the 4th, Joey left around noontime to drive north to meet with Chase at Chick-fil-A for lunch and go over, some of the founds and the orders they had there, because they had a lot of stuff going on. So I think, from what I can tell, is as he's going north and leaving his house, he gets a call, or he calls his bank. And then all of a sudden you see him hang up, and he makes another call to Virginia or somewhere, Pennsylvania, somewhere over there. And I suspect what's happened here is he found out about that check. Merritt's cashed it. He found out about that check, and I suspect myself that he confronted Merritt. And he said that was it, the last straw, because Merritt was already into him for well over $100,000.
Oh, really? Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah. All right. So Merritt has plenty of motive. So then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Plenty.
With this police investigation, you made several complaints that the police were botching the investigation. Can you describe that?
Well, they found none of that stuff. And that stuff was all there. All you had to do was go into my son's email account, and you'd have found it.
Well, what were you finding in the email accounts?
Alerts from QuickBooks.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to go into all of that, but there was about 7 alerts in there starting back in 2011.
So the police had no idea that there were financial embezzlement going on by this Merritt until they discovered these bodies, and then going back, they found out.
That's when San Bernardino found it, not San Diego. But San Bernardino then took over the case because it was a homicide and it was in their county.
All right.
So San Diego turned over all their documents and everything to San Bernardino. San Bernardino, then I was talking with San Bernardino, and so was everybody else. And they went back and went to square one and started from the very beginning, and they interviewed everybody. I mean, everybody. And they went through it. I can remember John Gaffney, Sergeant John Gaffney's words to me when I first talked to him in 2013. He said to me, Patrick, we will solve this case. I give you my word. And they did.
Now, San Diego, you were. How was your relationship with the San Diego police, you personally?
For the first year, it was good.
Okay.
But up until around January of 2011. And then I wasn't getting any response. And I had some problems with the gal, and he wouldn't respond to me. And I finally told him, look, either you give me answers or I'll get answers. And he wouldn't respond. So then his lieutenant in charge had retired. And so they put in a new sergeant in charge of his squad or team. And he emails me telling me no longer not to get the hold of Dugal anymore, that I had to go through him. And I said, well, that ain't going to fly, So, anyways.
Well, why is that? Wait, didn't you think
a couple emails from a couple other higher ups?
Yeah.
And then I said, and then they keyed me in on a one lieutenant's response to a major in the sheriff's department, and it was more or less putting me down, knocking me, and I don't think they didn't realize that I was keyed in on the email, and I got copied on it. And so that's when I went back to them and said, look, guys, I don't need to hear a damn thing out of you. I don't need all your banner and your stuff. Keep it in. I don't want any further contact with San Diego. And that's when he kept sending me emails back telling me, everything's cool, everything's okay, don't worry. And if you need us, we're here, and contact me anytime. I'm going on vacation. Here's somebody you can contact. And I said, look, don't send me any more emails. I don't want to hear from you in any way. So then he sends me another one or two. And I'd had enough, so I filed with the Internal Affairs. I filed a complaint. And then I went to
what was the complaint? What was the nature of the complaint?
The harassment and the way what they were saying in the email and how they were laughing about it and remarking about how this sergeant had responded to me and told me, more or less told me off,
Okay, and this is this was San Diego that came up with the theory about the border crossing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing about that is, we knew that the trooper was parked at the border. They talked to the security guards, and supposedly they say it was parked there on the 8th, somewhere around 5 p.m. And so then they use National Missing and Exploited Children's volunteers go through the border videos down there, and so they select to do it from like 5 or 7 o'clock that night on up till midnight. And so it just so happens at 7 o'clock at night, they find this video of this family crossing the border. And they immediately latch onto that. The cars at parked at a mall there at San Ysidro, right there at the border. Then also prior to that, I had found emails from Summer corresponding with this guy to buy the Rosetta Stone Spanish language.
Okay.
Because she was Spanish heritage, but she didn't speak, Spanish. So she and the boys were part Spanish naturally. So she wanted to teach the boys Spanish and herself. And she had a real estate license. And since they moved down there's a lot of Spanish down there and Mexican. So she was going to activate or something. And she had just started working with the friends of hers that owned a real estate agency. And so she was going to open office there out of the house. And she was needed to learn Spanish. Well, immediately San Diego says, oh my God, the Spanish language learning CD she buys, and then the cars at the border, and then here's this video. It's them.
Right. And it was also something, too, about they were doing searches on the computer about what kind of passport they needed for kids.
On about the 27th or 28th of January, somebody had used Joey's computer and done a search as to what was needed when with taking children across the border, for identification. Mm-hmm. Well, the crux of that is Summer would not go to Mexico. Even by herself, she wouldn't go down there with Joey. She was scared to death of how bad Tijuana was and everything else. And Joey knew that because he used to go skiing down or surfing down there all the time. And he wouldn't go down. Hadn't been down there in several years. And all the friends, everybody talked about, we all knew. And she wouldn't go down. And she sure as heck wouldn't take the two little boys down. And, at 7 o'clock at night in February, and it's cold and rainy night, it was about 42 degrees. And they're going to traipse across that border. But the kids, no, there's not a chance. Even all her friends or close girlfriends that knew her, everybody said, there's no way Summer would take those kids across that border.
And the information about this Rosetta Stone, that's something you provided to the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's amazing, because you can look at it from their point of view. it kind of makes sense. Look at it. These pieces fit. The cars down at the border, the video of this family going across right around the same time. We found this Rosetta Stone. It's time. Boy, we got it. Let's go have coffee. Let's go home.
Yeah, but here's a big problem.
Yeah.
Here's a big problem, Ed. Here's a big problem, Ed.
Go ahead.
They disappeared on February the 4th.
Right.
Okay. We know on February 4th, all communications and everything stopped because MacGyver had tried he had been at the house on Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday the day before. No, he'd been there Monday on the week, that week. He was supposed to come back down on Wednesday to help painting. And he got delayed, so he sent Summer an email saying he couldn't make it in. He'd be down there on Thursday, which was I believe, yeah. So, and trying to reach her, she's not answering back. Okay, he's trying to get hold of Joey. Joey's not answering back.
Right, so it was a sudden
so
thing.
We know the 4th they disappeared.
Right.
Okay, the trooper isn't parked at the border until the 8th, but yet there's been no contact with him for 4 days. They've not been spotted anywhere. They've not been seen anywhere. And believe me, the restaurants were searched. Michael and my ex and all them got people, volunteers. They scoured the area.
Okay.
Nobody saw them, heard from them, nothing. So where were they for 4 days?
Gotcha.
The credit cards weren't used, nothing.
Gotcha. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. We're here with Patrick McStay, and he's the author of this book, McStays Taken Too Soon. And you can find the book at Amazon. I'm going to have a link at the Opera Report bookstore. I'm going to have a link on my Facebook, on my blog, McStays Taken Too Soon. And in lieu of donations, because he really needs donations, he wants to watch the trial. He wants to be there so that the jury sees his face, the judge sees his face. It's very important that the victim's family is there at the trial. That people know that the victims had loved ones. So in lieu of donations, he's asking for you to buy the book, McStays Taken Too Soon. And that'll be your way of
And now a word from our sponsors.
People are waking up. They're standing up to those pushing pesticides and GMOs as safe alternatives for a starving world. What a bunch of crap. I tell you, I'd rather eat dirt. So I drink Life Change Tea. It's an herbal drink, cleansing my body of toxic sludge and nasty chemicals, and of course, ridding the intruders that are hidden in my so-called food. And by the way, Life Change Tea is non-GMO and organic. No fillers, no yuck. Just a great defense against you-know-what. May the supplement force awaken you. Don't fall to the dark side. Oh, sorry. I went to the movies last night. Anyway, enough said. How do you get that herbal drink and change your life? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. You will awaken. You will get stronger, and you might even lose a bit of weight. So awaken to Life Change Tea and the many one-of-a-kind supplements at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. May the supplement force be with you.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subhash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubhashTechnosis.com. You can find a link to Subhash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also AwakeRadio.us. You can have your ad played here at OppermanReport.com every Friday night, 5 p.m., and Saturday night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on Friday nights, too, we do a live portion for 1 hour that I just do a live monologue. The ads are very, very inexpensive, and they're also played in the Opperman Report member section. In the member section, you can find all kinds of exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. It's as cheap as $6 a month, $20 a quarter, or $75 for a year. If you contact me directly at oppermanreport@gmail.com, I'll set you up with a little special deal there where you get a discount if you PayPal me directly, and you can get a copy of my book. I want to thank William Ramsey, who helps us produce the show and book guests. You can find William Ramsey, who's an excellent author, at William Ramsey Investigates on YouTube.
So much, and I hope you. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with Patrick McStay. He's the father of Joey McStay, the McStay family murder. Patrick, let me ask you a question. How did the car get down there at the border? Do we know?
No.
Really?
No. We don't know how it got there. We do know that when it was when they found it there, it was locked and just sitting there in the parking lot. And we know that according to the mall security guards, that they checked the vehicles in the lots or try to keep an eye on them. And I guess at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, whatever's there, they tow. So that's how they towed it.
Okay. And
excuse me, back up a little bit. When we go to the 15th and Dugal's at the house and he's talking to Michael when he first goes up to the house on the 15th of February, he issues a bolo that their other truck is sitting in the driveway. So he issues a bolo for the trooper, and within minutes he gets a hit, comes back that it's in an impound lot in San Ysidro.
Sure, yeah, because they have to report that to the police departments, yeah. When you tow a car, you can't just tow a car because the guy comes out and reports the car stolen, you know. This was such a high-profile case. It was all over the news. Did they do some examinations of the truck to look for blood and DNA and stuff?
Yeah, and they found, first off, back in 2010, at several interviews, and then again in 2013, going into 14, both sheriff's departments had interviews with Merritt and asked him if he had ever driven the trooper. And on all occasions, he said no, he'd never driven it. He'd been passenger in it, but the dad had been quite some time, but he had never driven the trooper. So San Diego, when they get the trooper in 2010, it's locked. So they do, when they get it back to the crime lab, they open it up and they do take swabs of everything, but they don't run to test the swabs. They just hold on to it in evidence.
Did they give you a reason for that?
No, never.
Did the family ever hire an investigator to be like a liaison between yourselves and the police?
Yeah,
how'd that work out?
Michael met a guy through some friends, I guess, or whatever, who supposedly had worked on some cases in Mexico, going down to the Baja there.
Okay.
His name is James Spring. And so he supposedly made several trips down to Mexico and everything. He could never find anything. They did find in Rosario, I think it was, or Rosarita, they found at a restaurant, a waitress had waited on a family that they thought was the family. And apparently they must have heard about the case or something, because the placemat at the table the kids were drawing on and everything else, this waiter or waitress held on to that for some reason. Mm-hmm. So when Spring got down there, he turned it over to the sheriff, and they turned it over to the FBI. They ran checks on it and everything else and determined that it wasn't my family.
Now, what about?
So, and they had fingerprints from Susan. They had fingerprints from Summer and Joey, because they're both licensed realtors. In California, you have to, they have your fingerprints on file.
Sure. Now, what about this guy Merritt? Was he on their radar early on before the bodies were discovered?
I don't know if they had him on their list. I have no idea. I mean, they never named anybody a person of interest or nothing, or even said anything to anybody. They thought. I had never spoke with Merritt, but I knew of Merritt through Joey, And I know that when Joey met Merritt back in 2006 or 7, he liked Merritt and was given a chance. And he even said at one point that, gee, Dad, you'd like him. He's a lot like you. And I thought, well, maybe he's a decent guy. I don't know. But then as I learned through the years, more things went on. Well, in 2008, Joey started having problems with Merritt.
Right.
And I know that for a fact because Joey was calling me and we were discussing it because Joey we had talked about getting rid of him back then in August of 2008. And so I didn't trust Merritt, but the thing about Merritt was I knew how close he was in the business. I knew how close he was to Joey because he helped him move from, when they moved down to Fallbrook from his house in San Clemente, or his apartment in San Clemente. And I knew Merritt knew a lot of things and was close to Joey and personally, they had a personal relationship as well. He had been to the house a number of times. And so I didn't want to suspect him, but I certainly didn't cross him off the list. And I put out a list of about, I think it was 3 or 4 people that I suspected could be involved. One of them. But I didn't put Merritt on the list, and I didn't put him on it deliberately because I didn't want him to even suspect that I thought of him.
Did your sons or anybody involved, or maybe this guy, James Spring, did ever you contact Merritt and speak to him face to face and, hey, what do you know?
No, I don't think he did. As I recall, I don't think he did.
Okay. So
I'm not sure who Spring talked to. He may have talked to some of Joey's friends on that, but I'm not sure how many or who he really talked to. I know he never talked to me, never contacted me or anything. So.
Okay. And then what happened? The case lies dormant until the bodies are found?
Yeah, it's pretty much dormant. And well, let's see, you get it. Okay, 2010 goes by. 2011, March, Lieutenant Brugos, who's the lead detective of the team, that Detective Troy Dugal, he retires in March 2011. So the team has no team leader, which it has to have. It has to be like a lieutenant or something. But in the meantime, they put in this Martinez as a temporary, head of the team. And so nothing's really done from then on. It's just pretty much dormant, sitting back waiting for clues, people to call or clues. They're getting calls, from, I forget where it was, like Montana, Pennsylvania, South Carolina. They're spotted here, they're spotted there, There was a case where a guy claimed that they were, Joey was at a baseball game, or a Little League game, here in Spring, Texas, just Monty and I, and I didn't even know it, and they showed pictures and all this stuff. They got a hold of the FBI and told them that it was that, and yet they would never turn over the pictures. A lot of the stuff they claimed they had to the guy, and I talked to the FBI about it and told them they finally saw pictures and told them it was all BS and it wasn't Joey, and it was just stuff like that. And that's what went on until November the 11th of 13, when the skull was found in the desert.
Now, how soon after that did they found these remains? Did they target Merritt again? Then pin it back to Merritt?
I think, you see, there's a lot of this stuff, that the sheriff's department, they can't tell me, even as a father, but a lot of things that I pieced together. But I think that they targeted him from the beginning.
You think they suspected Merritt even before they found the bodies?
Yeah. Well, no, not San Bernardino, because San Bernardino didn't get involved until after the bodies were found.
Right. So, but San Bernardino from the start. Right.
But San Diego, no, I don't think San Diego had a clue.
Okay.
I really don't. Because what I was telling you about the alerts that were in Joey's email, if you looked, San Bernardino followed it, okay? They followed that information, and they found the QuickBooks, and they contacted QuickBooks, and they spoke with QuickBooks, and that's how they got Merritt.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. Yeah, to find out that's not a lot of investigation.
And I said all along from day one, when they were saying, San Diego was saying they walked off on their own, voluntarily missing, I said from day one, follow the money.
Yeah.
And they, you know, and it's like, because Kavanaugh was stealing money.
Oh, really?
I mean, here's the thing that people didn't even know. On February the 4th, they supposedly, we have no more contact with him, right? Kavanaugh's supposed to be in Hawaii. Kavanaugh always has to get a hold of Joey to get money to get paid, okay? Because Joey pays him for keeping the website up and everything else. Well, Kavanaugh thinks he's more of the business than what he's nothing. He's no partner. He's no nothing, but he thinks he is.
Sure.
You know, and he's telling everybody he is. So anyways, they go missing, okay, on the 4th. On the 6th, he's into Joey's account, and he takes $2,000.
Kavanaugh.
Send himself $2,000 through PayPal.
Mm.
Okay? On the 9th, no, the 15th, excuse me. That clears on the 9th because it takes 3 days to clear. Okay, on the 15th, the very day that San Diego goes to the house and Michael calls him up there, he takes another $2,000. Okay? That clears on the 18th. Oh, on the 18th, he takes $3,000 out. Now, this is a guy that's never received more than $500 at any clip from Joey. And now we have, in a matter of a week or so, he's taken $7,000.
Now, wait a second. Now, how come he's not a suspect in Kavanaugh? Where does he live? He lives in Hawaii, you say?
Well, he's supposed to be in Hawaii, but he lives in San Diego.
Oh, really? You know what? We're out of time, man. But you can do another hour with me, right? If I hook right back up, we'll do another hour.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, I can do another hour.
Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna put you on mute, and you listen to the Opperman Report. If you like today's shows, be sure to check out the members section at oppermanreport.com. And if you want a deal, you can contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com. I'll give you a little discount on the members section. I'm doing 13 months for $60. You get a nice deal there, okay? Our guest today was Patrick McStay. You can get a hold of his book, which is called McStays, Taken Too Soon. There's a website called McStays Murder New Book. You can Google that, or just www.mcstay.shop. Or you can find it on Amazon. You can find it on my website. He's trying to raise money to get to his son's trial. So we'll be right back. And now a word from our sponsors.
People are waking up. They're standing up to those pushing pesticides and GMOs as safe alternatives for a starving world. What a bunch of crap. I tell you, I'd rather eat dirt. So I drink Life Change Tea. It's an herbal drink, cleansing my body of toxic sludge and nasty chemicals, and of course, ridding the intruders that are hidden in my so-called food. And by the way, Life Change Tea is non-GMO and organic. No fillers, no yuck. Just a great defense against you-know-what. May the supplement force awaken you. Don't fall to the dark side. Oh, sorry. I went to the movies last night. Anyway, enough said. How do you get that herbal drink and change your life? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. You will awaken. You will get stronger, and you might even lose a bit of weight. So awaken to Life Change Tea and the many one-of-a-kind supplements at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. May the supplement force be with you.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subhash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubhashTechnosis.com. You can find the link to Subhash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also AwakeRadio.us.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. You can have your ad played here at OppermanReport.com every Friday night, 5 p.m., and Saturday night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on Friday nights, too, we do a live portion for 1 hour that I just do a live monologue. The ads are very, very inexpensive, and they're also played in the Opperman Report member section. In the member section, you can find all kinds of exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. It's as cheap as $6 a month, $20 a quarter, or $75 for a year. If you contact me directly at oppermanreport@gmail.com, I'll set you up with a little special deal there where you get a discount if you PayPal me directly, and you can get a copy of my book. I want to thank William Ramsey, who helps us produce the show and book guests. You can find William Ramsey, who's an excellent author, at William Ramsey Investigates on YouTube.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find my work at emailrevealer.com. We do all kinds of locates, asset searches, adoption investigations, all kinds of digital forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages from a cell phone, e-discovery. If you need, if you think your spouse is cheating on us, you give us their email address. We'll trace it back to online dating websites. Catch them cheating online. Don't forget, today's show is brought to you by Get the Tea, getthetea.com. Life-changing tea. It's called lifechangetea.com or getthetea.com. Fascinating stuff. It's wonderful. You drink this stuff in the morning. You make a whole gallon of it. Okay. You start off one day, you make a gallon of it. You only need about a glass of this stuff in the morning. You don't need your coffee after that. Gets you going. Helps you lose weight. It's helping me with my skin, my complexion. GetTheTea.com. I cannot recommend this stuff enough. You got to at least give it a try. Then you'll understand what I'm talking about. GetTheTea.com. We've been talking to Patrick McStay. He's the father of Joey McStay and Summer McStay, and the grandfather, two kids, Gianni and Joey. When we left off, you were telling us about this gentleman, D. Kavanaugh, correct?
Yeah.
Now, has he ever been listed as a suspect or a person of interest in this?
No, but he's been questioned a number of times. But Channel 8, I believe it is, out in San Diego, did an interview with him, caught him off guard and caught him on an interview, and it's kind of interesting.
I'd like to see that. Now, this is interesting because now he was withdrawing money from the PayPal account days after the disappearance before anybody knew there was a death.
That's right.
And he was the
he started taking money on the 6th. We didn't even know they were missing till the 9th.
Okay, that's interesting. And he was the webmaster, so he would have kind of access to the passwords, maybe to the Quicken account and stuff like that.
Well, let me put it this way: he would help Joey. Sometimes he would take orders, through the emails and let Joey know, or whatever. But so he knew all the passwords to Joey's business account, his personal account, get into the emails. And you understand, this guy's a hacker, man. And I'm telling you, he's one of those young. I met him. He was about 18, I think. And he's one of these genius computer whizzes. And to give you an idea, I know his background because I know this stuff personally because I witnessed it. He had computers set up, and he would bounce off of servers around the world, so you could never trace him. And he would send the email back in the early 2000s when everybody was getting spammed. He saw that spam and everything. He got paid for everything he sent. I mean, and I watched the computers running. I was in the actual room where they were at.
Do we know if he had any relationship with Merritt?
From what I understand, well, they had some contact, but not personally, not physically. They may have had contact through Joey and through phone conversations and things like that. But from what I understood and what I knew of it, they didn't like each other at all.
They didn't like each other.
It's kind of like it was almost like two kids vying for their father's love. You know?
All right. I get you.
That's how I would put Merritt and Kavanaugh.
Now, you say that Kavanaugh was questioned by the police and it was never went any further than that.
Yeah, see, in the very beginning, when I found out that Kavanaugh was taking the money, I raised hell with San Diego saying, why in the hell aren't you arresting the guy?
Yeah, right.
Why don't you at least drag him in here on that? Because you got it perfect out because he's taking the money through PayPal, which is linked to Joey's bank account. So that's federal. That's bank fraud. I said, you got him on electronic violations. Numerous things you could charge. So even if you don't want to charge him, you can drag him in and scare the hell out of him to find out what he knows. Because I still think to this day he knew more than what he said and what we know.
Because he is the first one to contact you about the disappearance.
Yeah.
Okay, well, He's not here to defend himself. If you want to call in or Mr. Kavanaugh, if you want to contact me and give a statement or whatever, we'll put you on the air. You give your side of the story. Has he given a public statement to anyone? You said Channel 8 talked to him. What do you have to say there?
The only thing he's done, Ed, is that interview, like I said, with Channel 8, and that was the interviewer was a guy I met through, this stuff, and he's a really nice guy like you. His name is David Godfredson. He's the reporter for San Diego, Channel 8, and he caught him off guard, kind of ambushed him in his apartment, and it was a real interesting interview. I mean, Kavanaugh comes to the door, and he's got one of those sweatshirts on with a hoodie on. He's got the hoodie up. He's got, a beard and looks really gruff. And it's a long story. I mean, you got to. Well, and at the same time, Kavanaugh around that same time was arrested for domestic violence with his girlfriend, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff.
Okay, so his extent of his criminal history, though, is just domestic violence.
As far as I know, yeah, that's all.
What about Merritt? Does he have any background, any history, criminal?
Oh, yeah, he'd been in and out of prison.
Oh, really? See? Yeah.
Yeah. He'd been in prison. I think the first time he went to prison, I think it was back in 1977.
Wow. And do you know what that was for?
Most of what he had was for theft and stuff like that, Let me put it this way, Ed. Without saying much.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the first go-around.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really.
From things I've learned. I mean, that's my opinion, But
now what about your son, Joey, then? Why is he hanging around with these shady characters,
You got to understand, my son was you hear it all the time, the cliche.
Yeah.
This kid was, I call him a kid because he's still a kid to me.
Sure.
He was the biggest hearted guy you'd ever want to meet. And he's offered giving people a second chance there, and I told many people have asked me, he died at 40. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't think I ever saw him really get mad twice in his life. I mean, he get mad, but he could control it, hold it within. But
sure.
Outwardly, maybe twice in his entire life, and it wasn't really that bad when he did get mad. I mean, he just, it was just he was a good kid. Joey was, the way I describe him to people is, I've been in business, had my own business, and worked in business, built businesses, for people. When you do something in business, you either have, like, for example, artistic talent, and you're very bad at mathematics or keeping books or organizing, but you're extremely good at artistic work, okay? Or you're good at administrative work in it, but you're lousy at artistic work, okay? And you can't organize things, and you're bad at sales or whatever. Joey had all of it. He's one of the only people I've met in my life that had all those talents rolled into one. And then on top of it, he was such an easygoing, nice guy. And it worked.
It's a terrible loss, that's for sure. That's a horrible loss.
Yeah.
And there was a book written by this guy, Rick Baker, that you have some complaints about?
Oh, God, yes. Oh, yeah.
And what, he kind of blamed Summer.
Oh, he blamed Summer for killing Joey. He blamed Joey for killing Summer. And each of them, running off with the kids. He claimed my son Michael was in on to kill his brother and his sister-in-law and his two nephews. He claimed Michael repeatedly on his website or blog kept. I mean, he had it posted up there that Michael's going to be arrested in so many days, and they were doing a countdown. Michael's going to be arrested. Michael did this. Michael killed him. He was involved. I mean, this guy's done everything. He blamed everybody. He's a nobody, know nothing, who I got hooked up with by mistake by some friends in the very beginning. Told me that he had his radio station in Southern California, or he was a radio program, and I should get a hold of him. He's done work and written books, and he'll help you write a book. And so I got a hold of him. We made an agreement. He claims he never signed the contract, but he did. I have the signed contract page. He faxed, he emailed, did an attachment, signed it, and did the attachment page and everything. I have it all. Now, I could have gone on and sued him on his book because it was so phony. And because he had an agreement that he would never write anything, that I only authorized him to do the one book and anything, and I owned all the rights and everything else. And he was forbidden from writing anything else about it. It's in the contract, pretty explicit contract, and he claims he never signed it, and then he wrote the book. Because originally we started collaborating on a book, and I cut him off because he was coming up with all this junk and made up stuff. And I said, no, that's not it. This is going to be truthful. We're not going to do that stuff. And finally, we parted ways. And the next thing I know, he's going to write a book. Then he publishes the first chapter and puts it out on his blog. And then he takes it down a couple of days later. And then he claims he's not going to write the book. And then a while later, he's going to write the book, and it's coming out. And then he finally did put a book out.
It's amazing. They all come crawling out of the woodwork, when they see some publicity. Yeah, free publicity and attention, ego, and all this. Let me get my 2 cents out of this deal. Let me get my piece of the action.
Go ahead.
It's amazing, right? Now, what about all the online message boards and stuff like that? Did you get caught up in all that? All the cyber sleuths?
Man, they were ripping me apart. And there was Joey, and Joey was they were laundering money, and Summer was in real estate scams, and just, I don't even remember what all they said about me. It didn't matter. What mattered was they were going after my sons, both Michael and Joey, and Joey's wife Summer, and it was just ticking. It ticked me off. It's just flying, and so that's really why I wrote. One of the real reasons I wrote the book was I was sick and tired of all the stories. And I wanted people to see who Joey and Summer really were. I mean, look, I in the book, one of the things I go into there is in Summer. Joey and Summer and Gianni, I flew them in for Thanksgiving in 2006. And at the same time, I flew Michael and my granddaughters and his wife, Erin. I flew them all in from California to Texas for Thanksgiving. And at that time, Summer and I had a little row because Joey and her had gone out to where Joey used to live with me out here. And so he was raised in Texas, but with his mother in Dallas, but then he moved down to live with me when he was in high school. And so he wanted to go out by his old high school and see it and take his wife and show him and everything. So they went out there, and a lot of the roads had changed, and some new freeways were put in, and they got lost, and it's getting dark, and they call me, and I'm trying to direct them out of there, and I don't know about a lot of the new roads. And Summer's over there cussing up a blue streak at me and telling me off and why I don't know, my own city. And so anyway, she comes home, we get together, and we talk about it, and it's forgotten and gone. It's over, no big deal, And but that's how Summer was. Summer was very fiery. She's Spanish. She got the Spanish background, not all Spanish, but she's part Spanish, and she's fiery. I mean, she can cuss with the best sailors. I guarantee you that. And she can also, she got something to say, she's going to say it. That's why one of the other things that you don't know is she and Chase hated each other. I mean, it was vicious hate. I mean,
oh, really?
It was unbelievable. Oh, yeah. Oh, they had several rows. And I learned about this from some people. But then again, when I talked to Chase told me straight up that he hated Summer. Well, hell, he was supposedly writing a book. Okay. And when the last time I talked to him, when I got him to do the CNN interview, which is, he had never talked to him, he had done one interview with Daily Mail just a little while prior. That's all he'd done in all the years. So I finally, in January 2014, finally got him to do the interview with CNN. And that was the most damning thing I think I'd ever seen in my life when he made that comment on CNN. I don't know if you saw it.
No, what was the comment?
Well, Randy Kay asks him, when was the last time he saw Joseph? And he says he saw him at lunch on the 4th at Chick-fil-A. And she said to him, well, do you think he saw anybody else or anything? And Chase looks dead in the camera. He's looking right at her. And his words were, and I'm quoting verbatim exactly what he said, okay? Quote, I most definitely was the last person he saw.
Wow. Now, that's pretty damning. Yeah, that's pretty damning right there.
Yeah. Now, you're going to say, I could have been, I might have been.
I don't know.
He may have saw something else. Or I don't know.
How would I know?
But you don't say. And see, this is what got me. With all that statement, he says, most definitely. How do you use that? And you don't know for a fact.
What about Summer and Kavanaugh? What was their relationship like?
I think it was okay. Kavanaugh was a kind of, I guess he's a kid, he's like, I guess what I described him as like the young punk kid. When I was growing up in the 60s, he was the kind of guy that had the big mouth, but if you ever threatened to knock his block off, he'd shut up,
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. And real quick, too, before we take a commercial break, that UK Mail article, did he get paid for that?
For which, well, I don't know for a fact, but they say he got $5,000.
Yeah, because they pay. Yeah, they pay. UK Mail pays you.
Yeah. So well, I heard he got $5,000 for it. So,
Okay, and of all the money that went missing from your son's account, it's all been accounted for. What total? How much has been taken out of the accounts?
I don't. The last figure I had, I knew was totally missing, was somewhere in the vicinity of $23,000.
$23K, and that includes the money the cabinet.
See, I don't know for sure, Ed, because see, when Dan Kavanaugh got involved after joining him, my ex-wife and my youngest son, and a friend of his, and Kavanaugh and Merritt all took over and ran the company. It only lasted for several months before they ran it in the ground. But at the same time, they were getting money coming in on orders for down payments for fountains was still coming in, and Kavanaugh couldn't use Joey's stuff anymore. So what they did is Kavanaugh's grandfather had a merchant's account with some business, so they started running money through that. So who knows what came through that?
How is that even possible? They were using your son's corporation and his website. Suddenly, some people just came.
It wasn't a corporation. It was a sole proprietorship.
But still, that's part of his estate. How are these people just walk in and take it? Yeah.
Look, I wanted to take it over, file papers, and take over until Joey got back. At that time, hoping that was the case. But naturally, with my ex-wife, you never mind. But but she got in there with my son, and they're going to take it over, and they're going to,
Okay.
And she couldn't run, a peanut stand.
A faucet is the old saying. You can't run a faucet. Now, what about now? There must be an estate and a probate and all that kind of stuff. What's gone with that? Do we know where all this money's gone?
No idea. Wow. I have no idea.
And so who's the executor? Do we know?
I don't know. She claims she is, I guess. She claims there was a handwritten thing from Joey.
Okay.
So who knows? She got the victims advocate money from California.
Okay.
Which was, I think, $20,000.
It'd be nice if somebody could help you get to the trip over there to watch the trial there. because it is a big difference when the family's there, especially at a parole. By the way, if you got someone who screwed you and there's a parole hearing, if the victims show up at the parole hearing, they're not getting parole. There's no parole board. Yeah, no parole board is going to look the victim in the eye and say, "Oh, we're going to let him out." So trust me on that. We'll be right back after these messages with Patrick McStay. He's the father of Joey McStay, the father-in-law of Summer McStay. The grandfather is Gianni and Joey McStay. His book is called McStays Taken Too Soon. He's got his own website too, patrickmcstay.com. You can find it there, but it's also available on Amazon. It's in the Opera Report bookstore, and he's just trying to raise funds so he can get to his son's trial there, be a victim's advocate. We'll be right back with more of Patrick McStay after these messages.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here with Patrick McStay. He's the father of Joey McStay, of the missing McStay family, the McStay family murder. Started way back at 2010, I think it was. It's gone on till today because we still don't have a conviction in this case. What's going on with the cops? Right away, they landed on Merritt and they took him into custody. But what's going on? How come there's no conviction? How come there's no trial?
Well, originally he, like I said, he had a lawyer, and then that lawyer, I guess, felt he wasn't good enough in the case. If he wanted the case, he had other things that he said it would tie him up too much financially in his, small law firm. And so he and Merritt parted ways, and Merritt went pro se, and then after that, another lawyer stepped in, and that lasted shortly, and then that was fired, and then another one stepped, and then he went pro se again, and now there's another law firm that's had it for, I guess, for a year or so, a year and a half or so now. And so they filed all kinds of motions, and we've had 3 court dates, and they've all been reset, and now we're waiting until April 6th, the next hearing date, and at that date they may possibly set a trial date, but we won't know because there's another trial ahead of us that's supposed to take several months. So the earliest we could possibly be in trial would be June or July.
What is the prosecution's theory of the case?
That he was stealing money from Joey, and Joey found out, and he killed him, and I don't know exactly what they say about Summer, but I believe that they probably believe it like I do. But my opinion is that he killed Summer because she knew Joey was meeting with him that day, and she knew all the circumstances about him, and then he killed the kids because they knew who he was.
So first he killed Joey after that Chick-fil-A restaurant?
Well, let me put you this way. The theories that everybody has said was they were all killed in the house.
Right.
Okay. I don't believe that. That's not my belief. I have believed all along that Joey was killed first somewhere else, and that later that night he went down to the house and killed Summer and the boys. Or he removed them from the house, somehow got them out of the house and killed them somewhere else. But I truly believe that Summer and the boys were killed in the house.
Even though the alleged murder weapon was a sledgehammer, wouldn't there be blood all over the walls and stuff?
Well, here's the deal. Everybody talks about that, and then there's also been many people and experts have said that could have happened, and there could have been very little blood. I don't know how, but my thoughts, I really don't want to go into, but where everybody thinks, you got to understand, this happened on the 4th, the night of the 4th, okay?
Okay.
We didn't even know it till the 9th. Nobody goes to the house till the 13th. He's had all this time to go in there at the house and clean it and paint it, because you have to understand, while this was all going on, while they were living in this house, they were in the middle of remodeling the house. The whole inside of the house was being repainted.
Okay.
The living room had boxes of new hardwood flooring that was going to be put down the following week. They were all sitting in the living room. There were tarps in different areas. You know, there is. See, and that's the thing. Summer had been taught by MacGyver, who was painting, a friend of Joey and Summers, who was painting with them. He was helping her do all the painting. Joey was running the business, taking care of that. The painting was up to her. All the big stuff Joey took care of, you know, the other stuff. So she was working with MacGyver painting a lot. The MacGyver taught her to put down aluminum foil in the roller pans, so that when you're done painting, all you have to do is take it up, fold it up, throw it away.
Sure.
And then same with brushes, you wrap them in aluminum foil when you're done, because you're going to use them again. And you wrap them up real tight and close them. And then the next day when you come back to use them, they're still soft and usable.
Sure.
And so to seal the cans. And when she had been taught all that by him, and let me tell you, Summer's very meticulous, okay? And that's exactly what she did with those. Well, when they went in the house, one of the things they found that was an anomaly in the house was there was paint in the paint roller. There was paint rollers in there. There were paint brushes with paint in them. The paint can was open, not sealed. He painted.
Okay, but you don't think it's possible that they were in the middle of painting when he showed up, or no? Okay.
No, because it was in the evening. He wouldn't have shown up until somewhere around 5:30, 6 o'clock at the earliest.
And the apartment, the house was so remote that the neighbors couldn't see him coming and going, moving bodies out and stuff.
Oh no, you could see him. Okay. See, this is another thing. Okay, we found through our investigation, okay, that this was something San Diego didn't find. We found that very night of the 4th, there was a white pickup truck, utility bed style truck, which is exactly what Mary drove, that went by the house. They said drove by the house. Now, they live on a cul-de-sac, right? In one of the new houses before the cul-de-sac. They said that this truck went by the house. Okay, that was found by Tim Miller of Texas Equisearch, who's a well-known search firm. You know, searches for bodies and people and missing people. Well, they're based here in Houston, Texas. Well, I know Tim, and Tim flew out to California for me, and he did some investigation work. And he had a guy come in that works with him from New York City. Steph Watt, who's a reporter and photographer and everything else.
I got Steph on the show,
Yeah, okay. Well, Steph knows all about the case, too, and he knows me. We've met personally and everything. Okay. So, anyways, they go out there, and they interview the neighbors. They find the neighbor that saw the truck that night. The sheriff's never found it.
That wouldn't be the first.
He talked to all the neighbors.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the first murder that Steph solved, because he also found out about Drew Peterson's first wife dying in that home as well. The cops didn't know about that either.
Yeah,
fascinating. Yeah. Maybe, okay. Now, so we're just basically waiting for this wheels of justice to turn. And we get
let me give you a little more information. Now, this stuff I can tell you because it was in the preliminary. Because if you go out online and you look up California versus State and Charles Ray Merritt or whatever, if you search, you'll find the preliminary hearing testimony.
Okay.
It's online. Now, when you find that, all the stuff, a lot of things you were asking me, like of the checks and everything else, it's testified to in that preliminary hearing where they have Merritt writing checks after their death and backdating them to the 4th. They have Merritt by pings off of cell tower at the grave site right where they were buried on the 6th of February, 2 days after they disappeared. And he claims he hadn't been in that area in over a year.
All right.
So, like I said, there's a multitude of evidence, you know. But the thing is, it's circumstantial, and you have to piece it together. It's like the trooper, okay? one of the first things he claims he's never been in it, other than the ride. He rode in it, but that's been quite a while. He's never driven it, but yet they find his DNA on the steering wheel, on the gear shift knob, on the radio air conditioning knob and heater knobs. And then the first thing that the defense does a couple of months ago, back in January, I think it was, they file a motion to exclude, I think, the DNA, I think is what they were doing. And because they claimed there was no DNA on the outside door handle of the truck.
Is the prosecution claiming it was premeditated or spontaneous?
What, the murder?
Yeah.
I don't know. My thought is Joey found out about the bank, about the check. He's on the way up there, and he says he calls Mayor, and he tells him he's pissed. He knows about that check. And I think he tells him he's done. You know, he's coming up there, and they're gonna. I don't know. This is my summation.
Sure.
Okay. And there he. So when he gets there, I think Merritt's already got it in his mind that he's got to do something because he's already a 3-time loser, and he knows that if he goes down on this, regardless, just for stealing money or whatever, he's got a chance of spending the rest of his life in jail.
Right. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is another thing for people to consider about the street strikes thing, because you have situations like this, you know. But that's for another discussion. You wanted to tell us too about a friend of yours who was a friend of Joey's and worked with him, Gina, and she's got some kind of problem now with a case out in California. What's going on with that?
Oh God, yeah. Her cousin Nanette Crendel, Krentel. Her husband is the fire chief of I don't want to say St. Tammany Parish, but it's in that area around New Orleans. He's the fire chief.
Okay.
Well, he's having an affair. He's having an affair on his wife with the woman in the fire department that controls the funds for the parish, and she writes the checks, and he's having an affair with her, and he's spending money from the thing, and then the parish has then got him under investigation for the misappropriation of money, or possibly, or whatever, and then his house ends up burning down. His wife ends up being found dead in the house. The coroner at first says he thinks possible, suicide or whatever, I don't know. And so the family hires an outside pathologist. He comes in and he says she's been shot in the head.
Oh, boy.
With a bullet, okay? So they find the gun by her body, so that's what I assume the first coroner thought, suicide or whatever. So anyways, this other pathologist goes through everything. They check the gun. They can't even verify that it's the gun that killed her because the heat of the fire of the house burning was so hot that it damaged the gun to where they couldn't even test it to prove that it was or wasn't the gun that killed her. Okay? But then the house has an elaborate security system and cameras all over the place. And the husband knows it because he had it done or put it in. Now, he's also got a separate shed by the house, not far from the house out there. It's a pretty good-sized shed, I guess, or a room. He's got a bunch of equipment in it, I guess. I don't know what it's fishing equipment, but I understand there's guns and different things. So anyways, and I guess she'd been under some he'd been under some threats or whatever, and they both carried guns, and they were both proficient. She fired on range and everything as well, so she knows how to handle guns. So anyways, the house burns down, and so does the security system, and there's no backup or nowhere out on a cloud or anything where the recording of the video is. And then there's several other shady people involved in his family, and then on top of that, the fire chief is buddy with the sheriff, who won't release any of the information to the family or anything else of the case and everything else. And he come to find out they're both supposedly friends in a drinking club. So and it's just. And the way that case was mishandled and not being really investigated, it's a mess. It was just, it's a case that needs to be looked at seriously, too.
Okay, let's take a commercial break. And when we get back, we'll try and delve into this case with Gina. And how is Gina connected to that? That's her cousin that was murdered in New Orleans?
It was her. It was Gina's cousin.
Okay.
Yeah, and Ed, you know how this goes, and people have called me, and I've been put in contact with people that are going through the same thing I am, and they need advice and that, and they want to talk to me because I've gone through it and how to handle media and what to do about, being people getting all over them,
Yeah, you made all the mistakes.
So
you made all the mistakes.
I talked to about 4 or 5 different people.
Yeah.
So
okay, let me put you.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. And now a word from our sponsors.
People are waking up. They're standing up to those pushing pesticides and GMOs as safe alternatives for a starving world. What about your crap? I tell you, I'd rather eat dirt. So I drink Life Change Tea. It's an herbal drink, cleansing my body of toxic sludge and nasty chemicals, and of course, ridding the intruders that are hidden in my so-called food. And by the way, Life Change Tea is non-GMO and organic. No fillers, no yuck. Just a great defense against you-know-what. May the supplement force awaken you. Don't fall to the dark side. Sorry. I went to the movies last night. Anyway, enough said. How do you get that herbal drink and change your life? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. You will awaken. You will get stronger, and you might even lose a bit of weight. So awaken to Life Change Tea and the many one-of-a-kind supplements at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. May the supplement force be with you.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subhash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubhashTechnosis.com. You can find the link to Subhash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also AwakeRadio.us. You can have your ad played here at OppermanReport.com every Friday night, 5 p.m., and Saturday night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on Friday nights, too, we do a live portion for 1 hour that I just do a live monologue. The ads are very, very inexpensive, and they're also played in the Opperman Report member section. In the member section, you can find all kinds of exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. It's as cheap as $6 a month, $20 a quarter, or $75 for a year. If you contact me directly at oppermanreport@gmail.com, I'll set you up with a little special deal there where you get a discount if you PayPal me directly, and you can get a copy of my book. I want to thank Sean Duff from strawmanmusic.com. He's an excellent musician. And I also want to thank William Ramsey, who helps us produce the show and book guests. You can find William Ramsey, who's an excellent author, at William Ramsey Investigates on YouTube. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with Patrick McStay. He's the father of Joey McStay and the father-in-law of Summer McStay. The famous McStay family murder that people have been following since 2010. You can get a hold of Patrick's book. The book is called McStays, Taken Too Soon. You can find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, all that kind of stuff like that. I'll have a link at OppermanReport.com bookstore. Also, too, you can go to this website here, McStay.shop, and also PatrickMcStay.com. And on Facebook, there's a
I think it's called Search for McStays on Facebook with the number 4, but it's really easy to find. So, Patrick, let me just see if I understand this. Gina was Joey's friend from work, right?
Yeah. Well, let me. I can explain it for you.
Okay.
Joey, a lot of the fountains that Joey would make are what we call prefabs. Okay. In other words, you can go out and find them on a site, and they're pre-designed and everything, and you can just order that fountain. It's got a price on it. You can order that fountain, whatever. So there are only a number of fountain companies around the United States that manufacture and have these sites. And what they do is they have people like Joey, a lot of them work with these companies, so they have them on their website and they sell them through their website. And then Joey also did custom designs. Well, Gina worked for one of the top 3, I think it is, fountain companies out of Florida. And Joey did a lot of business with them. Matter of fact, I think he was one of their best accounts, if not the best account that they had. And so Gina was a representative for that company that handled Joey's account. And so they met, over the phone and all of that, and then they would meet each other at these, like Las Vegas, at these big shows. And so they knew each other personally, and they became very good friends, and they talked about each had 2 kids at the time, and they talked about it. And so I met Gina through a friend of Joey's who knew, who was very close to Joey. He said, Pat, you should get a hold of Gina. She knew Joey, and she knows a lot of stuff, and she's in that business. So I got a hold of Gina. We got together, and that was about March or April of 2010. And so since then, Gina's been working with me hand in glove. She's become like a daughter. I've been over and met the family, met her kids, and we're all... She's almost like a daughter to me. I mean, she is like a daughter to me, and she considers me almost like a second father. And so then all of a sudden, her cousin gets killed.
Oh boy! Just
this last year, and here we are, and it's like, I mean, Now, in after all that she's gone through with me, and bing, she gets hit.
Is there any down in that case in New Orleans? Has there an arrest been made?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Right, and the circumstances of that is, like they said, this woman, Crendel, was found dead with a gun nearby. The husband just happens to be a fire arson investigator.
Yep.
One of those weird coincidences,
And there was accelerant used on the house, and the house burned in an exceptionally high heat, and they don't even, it was so high that damaged the gun, and normally the guns aren't even damaged like that in a fire. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, New Orleans has a history of being a kind of a...
Oh, yeah.
What would you say?
I had some problems over there, I know.
A colorful town, right? I guess you could say.
Yeah, very.
Oh, boy. Well, Mr. McStay, we've only got a couple of minutes left. What would you like to leave us with?
Don't listen to all the stuff you hear about Summer and Joey, about all the bad stuff. They were just normal, everyday people just like you or I. All they wanted was to have their children, raise their children, have a comfortable life, and enjoy life itself and their family. And they were very good people. They were Christians, and they were just, good people. I mean, you couldn't ask for better friends.
Hey, what did Gina have to say about Merritt and Kavanaugh?
She's with me all the way.
Really?
Matter of fact, you see, when CNN, about the time the interview came on, like I told you, I had contact with Chase. Well, I called Chase and I asked him to do the interview with CNN. He had never done any. And so he agreed because I was Joey's father and he was supposedly such a good friend with Joey that he would do it for me. And he would do it, go on and do it. And Gina and I had worked that all out, really wanted it. And then when CNN's producers got with me and I thought they talked about him, and I said, well, I think I can get him doing it. They said, you're kidding me. Well, that was on a Monday. Man, on Thursday, they were in California interviewing.
Right.
they were right now. I mean, so, yeah, it was an interesting thing. Now, Kavanaugh, he's kind of, I don't know. I don't think he's involved in the murder. I think there's more to it than,
Now, what about, I know you went through all the emails, but did anybody look for deleted emails?
No, we didn't get into that. And Gina, See, I'm not very computer savvy. Gina is. She's really good on computers too, and that's another thing. See, that's why Gina's. I mean, I would find things or do things or start things and give it to her, and she'd run with it, and she'd come back with me. And like when we talked to Merritt, I would talk to Merritt, and then I would call her, and she would take down notes. So what I said, so I call her right away. We talked, so she would make notes of everything. And then she even had contact with Merritt. She had emails with him, and she'd call him on the phone, and he'd talk to her because she was so close to me. So we would go back over the information, and he's the only one who did that with, because we knew we had this. And a lot of the information we found, most everything up until 2011, January or so, I was given to the San Diego. I was giving them all kinds of information. They even lost Chase. They couldn't get hold of him. He disappeared from June till around December of 2010. Yeah, 10. No, 11. I think it was 11. Yeah, it was 11. And Dugal tells me on the phone he can't get a hold of him. He's trying to find him. And I said, well, if you want me to, I'll get Jeannie to find him. We'll find him. Within 2 weeks, we found him. And we called Dugal and told Dugal. I told him he didn't. I'd have Gina call him. Gina called him, got a hold of him, and emailed him the numbers and where he could be reached. And Dugal gets a hold of him.
Wait,
I mean, that's how dumb it was.
You're saying that Merritt took off, he left his house, and he changed his phone numbers?
Changed phone numbers and everything. Yeah, and went into like hiding. I don't know. And then the sheriff can't find him. A sheriff's deputy in homicide can't find him.
Well,
but we go out within 2 weeks, we find him.
Yeah, because they're just going to use databases. They're not going to start calling them. They're not going to call everybody around. They're just going to look it up in the recent databases.
Yeah.
Listen, a lot of these youngsters today, they're very lazy. They got these, these online databases, man, that they rely on. Mr. McStay, how can people find you if they want to find you and all your websites? Give us everything you got.
They can go to search. They can go to Facebook. They have to go. If you go to the search for a McStay website, you can see everything else. But if you want to join, you have to ask me, and I have to approve you to join because we had so many problems with, people coming on and harassing and putting on lives. So I had to get to the point where I had to do that. Or you can find me. I think my site. I forget what I have. I have a couple others. If you look under my personal name, Patrick McStay, you can find them. There's Patrick McStay site. You can also find us on McStay.shop, www.mcstay.shop. There's a blog on there as well. I haven't been keeping it up too well, but I'll start keeping it up even more because things are starting to happen, So and then if you go out and search, you can find the prelim testimonies and everything else on the site. You'll just have to find the sites for that. I'll put some links up on my McStay.shop site so you can find a lot of the links.
But now you're saying that even now, after they've arrested Chase Merritt, people are still coming up with theories?
Oh, people they're still coming up with theories about how they died. I mean, more than not how they died or where they died. I guess is the thing. Whether it was in the house or whether it was somewhere else, and how could one person kill four people? You got to remember Gianni. It was 4 at the time, and Joey was 3. It just turned 3 a couple days prior. And Gianni, we know for a fact that he was struck 7 times in the head.
Ugh. I'm so sorry.
And we know Joey had broken ribs, a broken leg, and numerous strikes to the head. Summer had several strikes to the head, including one face on, right, directly face on. And parts of Joey, I think it was Joey, I can't remember if it was Joey or Gianni, but I think it was parts of one of the boys we have not been, all of them have not been found.
All right. Well, that's just horrific, Mr. McStay, and I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, my condolences. If anything comes up where you need to publicize this and you need to get on the air, just give me a call. We'll put you right back on the air, okay?
Love it. Thank you very much, Ed. You've been very great about this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Oh, boy. It's so hard because you got to remember, this is the guy, this is the father. He lost his son, lost his daughter, and lost his grandkids. And if you look at the pictures of these grandkids, these are beautiful little kids. 3 years old and 4 years old. Oh, my God. It's the happiest little time of a little kid's life, So that was Patrick McStay, grieving grandfather. And he's trying to get to California, lives in Texas.
they're not working. I'm sure he's retired. He's trying to get to California to be there at the trial, So he's selling this book called McStays Taken Too Soon. And it's available at, he kept saying McStay.shop, but it's McStay.shop, SOSSHOP, McStay.shop, where you go shopping. And that's where you can find it. And it's McStays Taken Too Soon. Also, too, you can get it at Amazon. And you can also, I'm going to have the link up in Spreaker and iHeart and YouTube and all that kind of stuff like that. I have a link on Facebook and also on my blog where you can purchase that book. So, I've been guilty of it myself, been one of these online cyber detectives, cyber sleuths, as they like to call them, web sleuths, who like to debate and comment on these cases, but always in the back of my mind, I've always known that even if it's a big trial and it's big news, the families and people involved, persons involved, they do read these things, and you gotta have some discretion. You can't just go throwing around accusations and all kind of hysterical commentary. But some people just thrive on this, and they just thrive on making jokes and evil pictures. Some of the cases I've been discussing online in the past, people are very insensitive today, and the more distance we have between each other with the internet and message boards and stuff like that, it's more like people just no human consideration for each other. If you enjoyed this show today, check out OppermanReport.com. That's where we have our member section, and it's the member section like Mr. McStay. He doesn't really want donations. We'll take them, but I'd rather you become a member and you get extra content. There's 100 shows in there, easy, 200 shows. Plus we add shows, like 3-4 a week now. We added 3 shows last month. New content, you become a member. I'll give you a deal, $60. And you get 13 months. You got to contact me directly by email at oppermanreport@gmail.com. Or you can just go to oppermanreport.com and just pay the regular rates, if you feel generous. It just takes longer for me to get that money. But that's only if you enjoy the show and you enjoy the content and you enjoy the work we're doing. Okay, then you can come to the member section and become a member and help support the show. Also, advertisers. We're always looking for advertisers. The show is growing. Multiplying on different stations all over the place. It's a lot more work, but we're reaching a lot more people. We reach more people today than we've ever reached in the history of the show by tenfold. So if you want to find out our advertising rates, you contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com. It's so incredibly inexpensive. We're talking about less than like $1 when the ad plays. You hear the ad play like every 3 times a show. It comes out to less than $1 an ad. It's so insanely cheap. If you count in all the different stations, all the different internet stations and the blogs and the podcast beans and YouTube and Spreaker and iTunes, all that crazy stuff. Plus, KYAH for 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday, drive time in the morning, plus more stations. And when you get in on the ground floor now, when we add more stations, we're not going to raise your rates. We're going to continue. So thank you so much. Thank you, Patrick McStay. The book is McStay Taken Too Soon. Taping soon with AJ Benza. We're going to be talking to him from the New York Daily News and Howard Stern Show and Mysteries, Unsolved Mysteries, I think it was called, and Murders and Mysteries, whatever it was. We'll be right back. Well, we won't be back. This is it. The show's over. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy it.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99.
People are waking up. They're standing up to those pushing pesticides and GMOs as safe alternatives for a starving world. What a bunch of crap. I tell you, I'd rather eat dirt. So I drink Life Change Tea. It's an herbal drink, cleansing my body of toxic sludge and nasty chemicals, and of course, ridding the intruders that are hidden in my so-called food. And by the way, Life Change Tea is non-GMO and organic. No fillers, no yuck. Just a great defense against you-know-what. May the supplement force awaken you. Don't fall to the dark side. Sorry. I went to the movies last night. Anyway, enough said. How do you get that herbal drink and change your life? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. You will awaken. You will get stronger, and you might even lose a bit of weight. So awaken to Life Change Tea and the many one-of-a-kind supplements at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. May the supplement force be with you.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subhash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubhashTechnosis.com. You can find a link to Subhash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also AwakeRadio.us. You can have your ad played here at OppermanReport.com every Friday night, 5 p.m., and Saturday night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on Friday nights, too, we do a live portion for 1 hour that I just do a live monologue. The ads are very, very inexpensive, and they're also played in the Opperman Report member section. In the member section, you can find all kinds of exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. It's as cheap as $6 a month, $20 a quarter, or $75 for a year. If you contact me directly at oppermanreport@gmail.com, I'll set you up with a little special deal there where you get a discount if you PayPal me directly, and you even get a copy of my book. I want to thank William Ramsey, who helps us produce the show and book guests. You can find William Ramsey, who's an excellent author, at William Ramsey Investigates on YouTube.